Presentation Zen is one of the greatest books to be read. It opens our minds as it clearly explains how to create meaningful and well-designed presentations. This time, I'll give the most important ideas regarding one of the chapters of this book. First, and according to the author of this book, we have to start with the beginner's mind. This refers to having a child's mind. A child is open, is creative, is playful, and is always experimenting with new things. They are never afraid of making mistakes, and that is one of the most important aspects of creating a presentation. It explains that we have to be creative as well as open to every mistake or every challenge that we are going to have or that we are going to face while creating this presentation. The second tip is to be creative. Being creative means that we are going to think of solutions and we are going to give those solutions to problems that we face every day. One of the most important ideas is that creative power and creative imagination are not only for the artists of the world, but they are also given to teachers. So educators, engineers, programmers, and any kind of careers can be creative at any moment. The only thing is that we have to think genuinely and remember that we are a group of brilliant people that can find any solution to any problem that we can face. The third aspect or important idea in this chapter is that we don't have to believe in the big lie. We always think that we are not creative or that we are not going to be able to be a Picasso, for example, or a famous person. However, the book explains that we are able to make mistakes and that we are going to fail many times and that failure is necessary, but it's part of our life. So worrying about what would it be if something like this happened is not what we are supposed to do. Instead of that, we have to think positive and to make mistakes at all times. The next tip is to be a pirate. This principle refers to have inspiration, to find this inspiration in different places. Sometimes we can find inspiration in teaching, for example, for the ones that are educators. Others can find it in what they do every day, or being reckless or careless about things. It doesn't matter. We have to be like lions. We have to be creative. We have to be open. We have to be playful and thinking that by doing this, we are going to get the best of us. The next tip that we have is that we don't have to force what we cannot give in that moment. So the idea here is that doing nothing is also important. There are times in which the big ideas come when we are having a little bit of wasting time, let's call it like that, or like laziness days where we are able to relax ourselves. In this moment is when all of the big ideas come to our minds. So that wasting time is not wasting at all, but that is the moment that we need in order to be having the greatest ideas that we are going to be using in our presentations or in any other projects that we have for our lives. So lazy time is good for us, and it's not necessary to be resting or laying on a bed. We can also do other activities. The next tip is to be enthusiastic. We have to put our love, passion, imagination, and our spirit behind all of the things that we do. If we are not enthusiastic, we are not creative. We need enthusiasm at all times because enthusiasm comes with being positive and with working better if we think that things are going to be good because of the things that we are doing. Being enthusiastic is also putting all of our passion, and of course, to be aware that we are going to be surrounded by people that are going to try to take off those positive moments of our lives. And one of the best advice that I can give you is the one that you have here. It says stay away from negative people because they always have a problem for every solution. So every time that we come up with one solution or one idea, they are going to try to make to make us think that the problem is bigger than the solution that we have. So the best idea or the best advice that I can give you is to stay away from those negative people. The next tip is working with restrictions. Sometimes we think that whenever we have limitations or whenever we have problems is because we are facing something that will stop our project to go on, or something that is going to change everything. However, we have to think of restrictions and limitations to be part of our project, and not thinking that they are enemies, but that they are going to help us in a way that every time that we have a problem, we need to find a solution in order to solve that problem. Working with restrictions is also the best way to find solutions. Usually, when we have problems, is then when we come up with the best ideas and the most creative ones. Next one is Pecha Kucha. Pecha Kucha is what I am doing actually right now, and is using 20 slides, 20 seconds each slide, and at the end we are going to have a total of 6 minutes approximately with 40 seconds. This is one of the best ways to create presentations, because here we are going to summarize all of our ideas and we are going to be prepared, because we need to be very concentrated about what we are doing with our presentation. So it's 20 images and 20 seconds each slide or each image. The next tip that we have here is to going analog. Going analog means that we are going to take the time off the computer. It means that we are not going to be using the computer when we are having our ideas or when we are brainstorming or sketching something. Instead of that, we are going to be using a pen and paper, of course. Going analog means that we are going to be using our relaxing moment and that we are going to get away from our computers. Before designing anything or our presentation in this case, we need to see the big picture and to identify the main ideas that we are going to be using in order to present them later in our presentations. Then it says that we have great tools available on internet. These tools are called software tools. However, the book recommends us not to overuse them, since they are great for summarizing ideas, but not for using them like we have been doing during the last years. We have been using them too much, filling them with a lot of content instead of just summarizing or giving the most important ideas. If you can see in this presentation, we only have images and some words, and that is what we have to do. The idea is to have all of the ideas clearer than ever. The next tip or advice is that we have to think our minds as if they are a bike for ourselves and not a car. Usually, when we are riding a bike, we have to use all of our body and we have to be concentrated on what we are doing. And the book compares our minds to the bicycle. because they say that we are able to connect or to use our ideas better if we use all of our body instead of a car that will make us a little bit lazy and we will not be using the whole body. The next advice that they provide in the book is that if we are using um, internet or our computer is okay. However, it's better if we start with pen and paper before we start using the computer. And one of the phrases or the quotes that I like is, "Does your computer function as a bicycle for your mind, amplifying all of your ideas, or is it more like a car?" Like the previous image that I show, it says that whenever we're using a car, we are pre-packing our ideas and we are not using all of our creativity. The next one is, like I say previously, to use pen and paper. It's wonderful to have technology, to have all of these digital tools, but anything is as easy and immediate as using a pad or, like I said, a notepad or a pencil. We don't need to to be turning on the computer, which will take a little bit of time. Instead of that, we can just grab a pen or a pencil, a piece of paper, and start brainstorming all of the ideas that we can have in that moment. Like I said, big ideas come anywhere at any time, so we should be ready by having pen and paper. It's better than using our computers. Whenever we're ready, of course, we'll be writing all of the ideas using a software tool. Another thing, instead of using the computer, is to use whiteboards. This is better because we have the option of having our markers in handy and we can have them like in a bigger size or in a bigger frame. Here we are able to erase or to make some changes. Another idea is to use post-its. Post-it gives us a more creative idea or a more creative picture of what we are thinking. And it might look like a mess. However, sometimes it is good to be messy. One of the most important ideas here is to be connected with our audience. Whenever we are having a presentation, the best idea or the best advice is to be connected with them. And how can we connect with our audience? Of course, the only way that we can do this is by persuading them, informing them, and telling them stories. The best way of connecting with the audience is by telling a story. Don't forget that people might pay attention to your presentation no matter what, but they will be listening to you. However, for for a better result, in a way, it's much better to tell a story. So, thank you very much for your attention.